Okay, welcome world and students at Larson Training Centers to our day one of Google Maps. How many people have seen the video? Okay, good. Mario, you didn't see the video?
I'm sorry, we've been
Okay.
I'm on track.
All right, good. All right, so we have the video in California. Has anybody seen the video yet?
Yes. Yes, Ed.
Great. Okay, good. Then we don't need to watch the video. So the video, those videos we usually watch towards the end of the week once we have an idea about maps. How did people find that video today? Was it totally confusing?
Not at all here.
Okay, good. Great. Okay, so Google Maps is one of the 8 Google apps that we study. Let's write on the board, what are the other apps?
Chrome, Drive,
Chrome,
Docs,
Drive,
Voice,
Calendar, Gmail, Voice, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Chimp,
Huh?
YouTube.
YouTube, Chimp. What do you mean chimp?
I'm sorry.
Chimp, okay, that's a new one. Okay, what are we missing?
Google Plus.
Google Plus, excellent, right. Now somebody said Docs. Where is Docs actually? It's in Drive. So that's a sub-app. We treat that as a sub-app because you can't, Docs is designed to get to through what? Drive, through Drive. Okay, what is another sub-app? What's a sub-app of Google Plus?
Sheets.
Okay, Sheets, that's in Drive.
Forms.
Forms, that's in Drive. What's a sub-app in Google Plus?
Hangout.
Hangouts, right. What's another one?
Voice.
In Google Plus?
Chat. Hangouts.
Well, you just put Hangouts. No.
The ones on the side.
Communities.
Communities, that's a good. What's another one?
Circles.
Right.
So you said we don't have anything with
What? Events occur. No, I didn't say that, but that's not a sub-app we're looking for because that really goes to your calendar. If you create an event and you go to your calendar, where is it? Yeah, it goes on your calendar, right. So, so events is not one that we put, I'm going to count as a sub-app, but it is. And let's see, any other sub-apps? Okay, I don't think so either. At least that we study. So these are the 8 apps that we study, and then there's 6 more sub-apps that we really study. But today we're focused on maps. And maps are probably the second most important thing that will affect your life, each of our lives. Okay? Because they deal with what?
Time.
Maps deal with time?
Direction.
No, it deals with location. Okay, it's our place in space. Where are we? What app deals with time?
Calendar.
Right. Okay, the calendar deals with time. That's why the calendar is the most important one that we deal with, because if you can't keep track of your time, you know, you're just not going to be that good. So in terms of maps, the question that we ask for people in California is to fill in the rest of the statement. If you don't know where you're going, what? In California. If you don't know where you're going, what?
What do you say,
In California. If you don't know where you're going, blank.
How will you ever get anywhere?
Nope.
No?
Good guess. Dennis, you've probably heard this about 8 times since you've been in the school. See what happens when you don't write it down? If you don't know where you're going, what? You should write this in your books. This is very,
Any road to take you there.
any road will take you there. If you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. Or in law school, they call that being rudderless. What happens if you have a rudderless boat? You go where the current takes you, or where the wind takes you. Okay, you're not in control of your destiny. So the first thing to always think of in terms of maps is this saying, if you don't know where you're going, any path or any road will take you there. Now, the second part of that is what? What was the second part of it?
But if you don't know where you are,
If you don't know where you are, what?
you can get there anyway.
You can't get there anyway. You cannot get there anyway. If you don't know where you are, you can't get there anyway. So as an example of that, the Navy SEALs, all special forces, maybe even Army people or Marines have this exercise where they drop you off someplace. You don't know where you are. You're blindfolded. They fly you around in a helicopter. They drop you off and they say, okay, now you need to get to this place. So they drop you off here and they say, get to Las Vegas. And you're in the desert. Huh?
It's called land nav.
Land nav, okay. So if you don't know where you are, how do you get to Las Vegas? You can't get there.
Can you get there anyway?
If you don't know where you are, and you're in the middle of, let's say you're within 100 miles of Las Vegas in the desert.
You can always use the Alice in Wonderland theory. If you just go in a certain direction, you're bound to get somewhere where if you go in a certain direction for long enough, you'll hit a road, and then you can
Direction on the
pull
sign.
down a car and say, hey, how do I
Right.
get to Vegas?
So that's a good practical thing, okay? But at that point, once you get to a place, now you know where you are, right?
Yes.
And then once you know where you are, you can figure out how to get to where you want to be, right? So in Jesse's example is just head one direction. Either one of two things is going to happen. You're going to die or you're going to run into somebody, right? Okay? If you run into somebody, obviously they know where they are, unless it was the other guy that was dropped off in the helicopter with you. And he decided to go the other direction. So the two important things to know about this app is to always remember, if you don't know where you're going, any path will take you there. But if you don't know where you're starting, you can't get there anyway. If you're dropped off in the middle of the desert west of Las Vegas, and you say, I'm just going to keep walking west, I'm going to follow the sun, will you ever get there?
No.
No, you can't, because it's to your east. You're heading the opposite direction. You cannot get there if you don't know where you are. Now, a lot of people think that you can, because they're not thinking about it. They think, oh, Las Vegas is there. I got dropped off in the middle of the desert. I just need to walk west, and then I'll see the lights.
So then what happens? How did the Navy SEALs make it back?
They kind of do what Jesse did. You figure you find, you don't try to find Las Vegas. You try to find somebody or some landmark that will tell you where you are. You need to find out where you are. Okay, it's kind of like the Star Trek Kobayashi Maru. Okay. So those are the two things to start with. Now, here's another important thing. Maps is changing because it's really integrated with smartphones. So probably more than any Google app, Maps changes the most, because it's getting better and easier for people to use Maps with their smartphone. And what Google's trying to do is make sure whatever happens on your smartphone is compatible and works with your desktop, even though there's two completely different approaches to using them, right? Because if you're at your desktop, how do you enter things for map? What do you use to enter something on the map app from your desk?
Just type in the location.
You use the keyboard and mouse,
Yeah.
okay? If you're using your smartphone, do you use your keyboard and mouse? Right. So now the apps are really getting to be very good at just speaking into your phone. And so you say directions to, you say address, or you say a business name, and it'll tell you how to do it. Now on an Android phone, how do you start that? Talking to your phone.
On this,
Huh?
you just actually tap the microphone
Okay.
symbol.
If you have a good phone, you say, okay, Google. And then it goes beep, beep.
On mine, there's a microphone.
Or that's the other way to do it,
Yeah.
because there's always more than one way to do things. Okay, Google. Okay, Google.
Oh, that
See?
must
And then it says listening, and then directions to, okay, so it's typing what I said, and then it says listening, and then directions to. Okay, so the voice recognition is getting really, really good, and it's using the deep learning algorithm so that it's getting even better at learning how to get directions. It's much better than it was a year ago. So, what that means is when we learn maps, you have to be prepared that it's going to probably be different 3 months from now than when we're learning it today. It's not going to be the same. And thus don't get frustrated when you find that it's different, because it will probably be different. They're updating it and they're changing it all the time because what's driving it is smartphones. More people are using maps to get directions for places, and that will continue to get better. Especially when you don't have to put in an address, you just say the name of the place. Or if you're a contact, in my contact list I say directions to Mario's house.
Call you for it.
We'll do that in the future. That was not the president, so I just have to be prepared. So maps is always changing. Don't get frustrated. And it is a little bit of a frustrating experience using maps if you only use it here. When we go around in the cycles and you don't practice using it, because your memory will have faded about maps. You think you're going to be doing something to get into maps, and it's not going to be working. You're going to get frustrated, and you haven't realized maps has changed. They've updated. Okay, any questions on that? Okay, if there's no questions, let's open up your map app. And how do we get to maps?
Nice.
Right, go to the 9-square grid and click on the Maps button. Just going to share my screen. Okay, so let's see. There we go. Okay, so on my screen now what you see is my Maps page. So I just launched Maps, and what does it show?
Vegas.
Okay. What it shows is, you can't see it right now, but there's a little blue dot right here. And right here. That's where we are, right. It shows where we are. Now, how does that know that's where we are?
Satellite imagery.
No, there's a blue dot. So there's a blue dot. Okay, there's actually two dots. One here, this dot, there's a star that says Larson Training Center. There's a blue dot right here.
There's got to be some kind of a marker.
Sharing the location data with Google Apps. Sharing the location.
Okay, here's what's going on. I'm signed in on this computer with my account. I'm on here and I have location sharing turned on.
The GPS knows you're here.
Press satellite on there.
Okay, this is the direction it's going.
Real.
So in terms of business, where it will be going is if you have a salespeople or you have a route business or you have whatever kind of business, you can see where your people, you'll be able to see where your people are, not in exact real time, but in close to real time. When I was younger, I was in the vending business and we had 2,000 cigarette machines in LA. And the big problem we had was people hijacking our vehicles because they'd have several $1,000s worth of cigarettes in them. And this was before the internet. This is in 1985. And there's a big problem of people hijacking your truck because you're just a guy, right? You're just a teamster who's a vending route guy. You're not a security guy. You're not driving around in an armored car. You might have 10,000. You might have 20 cases of cigarettes, which is a lot, right? A lot of cigarettes. 20 cases of cigarettes, not 20 cartons, but 20 cases of cigarettes. That would be worth a lot of money, right? How many cartons in a case? I know. I think it's like 20. Okay, and that's actually a half case because a case of cigarettes is 2 of those. But say 20 cases of cigarettes, or 20 cases, that's 400 cartons cigarettes, right?
People would actually rob
That's
these
800
trucks.
packs.
They would just take the truck. They'd say to the guy, "Give me the keys." Okay.
These smokes aren't worth my life.
Okay. Now with something like this, and so the truck would have all of these things, a dead man switch. So if you didn't do a certain thing within half a mile, the van would just stop running. So that meant the driver wasn't in any danger. But guys figured that out. Okay, well, all we need to do is drive 2 blocks to our other car. So when this thing stops running, we'll just take the cigarettes out. Well, with this technology of the future, you can know where the truck is in real time. Have a GPS in the truck and just be watching your trucks. So, okay, anyway, here's the Google map. It's on the screen. And for me, it just came up as a map. What did it come up for you, Ian, when you launch Google Maps right now?
When I launch Google Maps?
Right now, when you launched it.
Well, I don't because I don't have this computer, but I have all the locations.
Eric, what's on your screen?
I don't have Google Maps on mine.
How can Eric not have Google Maps?
I have no idea.
If you're in Google,
I got my apps right here.
okay. How about,
Went to the web store. I wrote it in.
if you're in Chrome, if you're signed into Chrome, do you have Google Apps? Okay, so does everybody have a page that has where this location here, or what is on yours, Safira? When you,
Title map. Because I went to my drive and opened up my map.
when you first opened Maps, what came up? Was it a picture of the United States?
It's United States.
Okay. Yours was here. Okay, so you had gone into Maps before. So the first time you go into Maps, generally what it will do is bring you to a map of the United States and say, do you want to open a map or create a map? Okay. So now on my screen, you know, one of the first things we want to do is we want to always go into settings the first time we create a map. So where do we go to settings on this map?
The wheel.
What wheel? Which corner? Here? You go down here. Down this down here.
It's a little thing.
And now you might have to move your cursor down off the page to have that pop up.
Should we say
Yeah. Search settings.
okay? Search settings down on the bottom. See the little wheel?
Okay, once you click on the wheel,
Down, down. Uh-huh.
so once you go down to the bottom,
Search that. Click search.
I love you. You want me to add my location? So where it says where are you?
okay,
That's how we get.
you go to search settings. So on the screen, I have the box popped up when I clicked on the wheel. I click search settings. Where are you?
We just start
Now you can fill that in if you don't have one of these.
so
And that's going to be your starting point when you launch Maps. And you can always change it. You can put whatever you want.
Doesn't go outside of the state.
You tried to do Paris? Okay. Because it says or country. Okay. But then when you do it, it says please enter a valid U.S. city or zip code. $727, Fremont. Now, over on the left, once you do that, once you answer that first question, over on the left, these are active things to push. So if you push on search results, let's just go through and make sure those are all correct. Filter explicit results, we don't care about that. When should we show you as, when should we show you?
Oh, I 737 Fremont Street, Las Vegas, all of it?
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm not.
Sometimes you might on the screen to pop up.
I mean, I'm just putting it. You know. 726, that's what you say, 27.
it is 727.
27, my bad.
Las
Yeah,
Vegas,
did you-
yes.
I had to go to the store and it wasn't on the screen.
Okay.
That's what I had to do.
Okay, so just go through the buttons.
Sorry. If you want me to say Nevada.
Yeah. Well, okay, so on location, it says please enter a valid U.S. city or zip code. So you can just put in 89101.
Not recognized, please try another location.
We'll just put in 89101. Yep, and then you push save. And so this is what you should have, something like that.
Okay, I got it.
Or if you're in California, you should have Los Angeles.
I put it in.
Okay, now, the next thing I want you to look at is on my screen, in the upper left-hand corner, there's a search. This is just like a typical Google search bar. So you can type in the name of a location, you can type in an address of a location, and Google will search for that. That's pretty easy, pretty straightforward. Nobody should have any questions about that. Now below that, does anybody have anything that says My Maps?
Yes.
Okay, so if you have a map, if you've created a map, once you have maps, it also gives you the choice of looking at your maps. So click on My Maps. Okay, and then you notice on the screen it has 2, 4, 6, 5 or 6 maps, and I also have a choice of see all your maps. And then what comes up is a list of all of the maps that I have and the date I created it or last used it.
Thanks a lot, Phyllis.
Okay? But there's more than that. So I have, here's the maps I created, but it's also here's maps shared with me. So if I click on that, now I see all the maps that somebody has shared with me. So for in terms of business, they're trying to make it so that you can have a lot of maps. You don't just have to have one map. You can have a lot of maps, and you can get back and forth to all of your maps. So let's see. Here's the map of La Voce locations. And this was done by Ray Martino. So this becomes very important when we go to work, when we're at a job. If your company doesn't have a map, or when you're in your interview and you talk about the cloud, what maps do you have right now that you use? What do you want them to say?
I don't use maps.
You want them to say, huh?
Yeah.
Right? What do you mean? Okay, so you're in there and you're saying, why should they say, why should I hire you? And what is the right answer?
I can make you money or something.
I can make you more money or save you more money than anyone else. How? How? Because of the cloud. I can help you get to the cloud. Now, at this point, you should have done your research and you know whether that's a true statement. So what if they're already on the cloud? Are you going to say because I can get you to the cloud?
No.
Why?
Because they're already there.
Yeah.
What's he going to say?
What kind of cloud are you going to take? Already
He's
on
going to say, well, we're already on the cloud.
Got a new cloud?
Okay, so what would you say then if you did your research and you found out they're already using the cloud? What do you say?
That you'd be able to work with them because you also are
well, remember,
with the
you already
cloud.
said I'm going to make you more money than anyone else applying for this job.
Well,
Here are the apps you're now using that I can.
I can use that cloud better than most people can.
Okay, so what you want to talk about is, okay, well, I know that you've converted over to the cloud. I know the cloud, and I'm sure I have apps that you don't use.
Yep.
I can help you with more efficient apps than you have because I just graduated, and this is what we did. He says, well, like what? So one of the things is to talk about maps because everybody knows what a map is. You try talking about Google Voice, they don't know what you mean when you talk about Google Voice. You try talking about Chrome, they don't necessarily know what you mean. Oh, it's an internet browser. Oh, you mean it's like Internet Explorer? You try talking about Drive, they might not know what that means. Or they might say, well, I'm already happy with Microsoft Office. You don't want to get in that discussion. But maps or calendar, this week we're doing maps. Maps is a very important thing to talk to them about. And so your lead-off question would be what? What did I just say? It's the lead-off question. What maps?
What maps
do you use right now?
Yeah.
If you've done your research and your proactive employment plan and you're ready for that because you really want to work there, this is one of the places that you really want to work, you know what maps they have or don't have. Because if companies have maps, they generally have a map that's available on their website somewhere. Okay? So you would volunteer what kind of maps?
Google Maps.
Well, not what brand, but what type of map would they want? Okay, so one could be distribution. Where are our customers? How do we get our products to market? Or how do we get our products, right? If you make aluminum bats for a living, there's certain materials you have to have in order to make the bats.
Different areas.
And where do they come from?
Yeah.
What is distribution? If you're in the business of selling razors like harrys.com, you need to know where you get your supplies, like the boxes that you ship them in. Where do you drop off the orders? Where do you do that? So maps becomes very important for them to talk about. And what's the big deal about Google Maps?
You can add layers to it.
Okay. What else? It's one of the key things of all Google apps. It is
Always
Interactive.
changing. Free.
okay.
Oh, no.
What's the question?
Really?
What is the key feature to lead with regarding Google, any Google apps?
Is that it
Well, that
goes with your
they're
Android?
interactive.
Customize it.
It goes with your Android. It goes with your
It
phone.
syncs with all other Google apps.
Real-time collaboration.
Collaboration. They're collaborative. Okay? All of the people can be looking at the map at the same time and can add to or take away from the maps. So here's the thing we want to get to with Laboche. So this is a map of Las Vegas. Currently, these, well, this is an investment, but is there an older Laboche here?
Well, not really. That's the same.
At the back of an older Laboche, at the back of an older Laboche, it has all the locations that you can pick up a copy of Laboche, which is this where this map came from. But it's not efficient to use. So if I said to you, you wanted to get a copy of Laboche, back in December, I'd say, okay, well here's where you can get Laboche. Is that efficient?
No.
No, it's not efficient because it's very poorly organized. If you could look at a map, if there was a map on it, and you could see this, what would you be able to do from here? Yes, what would you be able to do?
You'd be able to pinpoint all the different locations in which you can actually find.
Okay, so what would you start with? If you wanted to get a copy of Laboche,
I'd start with my present location.
where am I? Right, okay, I'm right here.
Yeah, and I'd find out where the closest location was where I could pick up a copy.
Exactly. So what we want to do with Laboche is we want to have the people who distribute Laboche, we want them to pay $20 a month. Right now, they get in here free. And so this is kind of like you get what you pay for. You get to distribute Laboche and we'll list you in here. Is it helpful? No. Okay, so a guy might say extra advertising, but the thing is, well, but Rodney, if they pick this up in your location, they already know about it, right? If they picked it up somewhere else, are they really going to use this for advertising? No. Nobody's going to say, where else should I get a pizza? Let me look on this Laboche list. Okay, they're not going to do that. So we want them to pay $20, and we're going to give them a small ad that has their logo on it. Now that could have value, right? As a logo. Their logo, their name, their phone number, and their website address. They'll also be on the map. And on the sides of the map, and these would be numbered. And on the sides of the map, it'll have the name of the location next to the number. So on Jesse's thing, if he was here and he wanted to know the closest one, let's say this one said 53, he would look and say, okay, there's number 53, that's the name of the place. Would that be a better way?
I think so.
It'll be much better, because you know where you are, or you know where you're going to be, and this tells you where you can get it. Now let's say you're somebody who advertises in La Voce, somebody who pays for an ad. Would you be interested in seeing a map of where La Voce is distributed?
Yeah,
Why?
it's close to your place.
Huh?
It would help you decide if you want, is it in my neighborhood? Are they?
Yeah, you'd want to know because if people don't see your ad, right? What's the value of an ad if people near you don't see it? Okay? So if you're a prospective advertiser, you'd want to see a map of where are all of our distributors located. Where do people get these things? What would be better is if we could show them a map of what? What's better than the distributors?
The advertisers
No, it's
themselves.
if you're an advertiser, people.
And people that read it.
The readers, right? The readers. So that would be a reason we'd want to get everybody to subscribe to La Voce, right? So that could be another layer on our map, are all of the members of the Italian American Club, because they are subscribers. We don't put their address on there. Some people might get uptight. We put their name and address on a map. Gavin lives here. They might not like that. Judge Scotty lives here. They might not like that. But if it's just a dot on a map and it doesn't have any reference point of, you know, who, what, where, when, why, but you're a prospective advertiser and you can see how many people live near you, how many readers live near you, that would be a pretty powerful tool. So with La Voce, we take the city and we now need to go get people. So let's just say that we're pretending this is for a business, but I'm going to use La Voce as an example, a real world example. So with La Voce, in order to get advertisers want to know that people read the magazine, right? So would you think that if you're an advertiser, having a map that had a lot of distribution points is better, or a map with few? More, right? More distribution points is better. And if you're an advertiser, you want to think in terms of, well, how far are people going to what? Come drive to come to my place. If you're a barber and your barber shop is right here, do you care how many people read La Voce over there?
No.
Way over here? No, because they're not going to, unless you're somebody special, they're not going to drive 45 minutes to get to your place. And if you were special, you
They
would
probably
be
already
there
know
anyway.
much anyway.
Or you wouldn't be out here
Wow, that's true too. Yeah.
at the end of Boulder, you know, at the end of Henderson, right?
If you have a lot of distribution points on a Google map, and presumably you're going to get that to one of your route carriers that drop all those off, there's a lot of distribution points. It seems like it would make it really, really confusing
For who?
for the person who's actually going to be using the map, different places.
Well,
Is there a way
you're
to
a driver?
Yeah, is there
Okay.
actually a way
My address.
with all those different locations on the map? Is there a way to figure out? Because I know it can do. I know it can do it. I know that Google Maps can figure out the best route from one location to another, but can it also figure out the best route for like a route carrier?
Yeah. Okay, so Google Maps, you can create a route. First you go here, then you go here, then you go there, then you go there, then you go there, then you go there.
How do we do that?
Well, that's what we're going to learn this week. You have to learn the basics first. Okay. The other thing you can do is you can draw boundaries and borders.
But on the base map, with all the distributors, you wouldn't want also all the readers on it because it would be so extremely cluttered.
I only got 3 addresses.
Maybe just a layer
Well,
so that they could click on and see what the readers
So
are.
again, you don't need to just have one map.
Right.
Okay, you can have a map that's for the drivers. Now, I just click this button here. This is to answer Jesse's question. I just push this button right here. So I can add a liner shape. I can add driving route, which was your question, right? Add biking route, add walking route. So I can create a route for the driver. But my question was if I'm an advertiser. If I'm an advertiser, do I want to see more dots or less dots?
More.
More dots near where I am. And again, if we had dots that represented subscribers, people who were mailed the magazine, that becomes really powerful. And it will help us sell the $20 ad, right? Because here's where the people live who could come by your place, but they're subscribers. If you distribute La Voce because you want people to come eat here or buy things here or drop their laundry off here, if you distribute La Voce for that reason, you already have customers. This map will help you get customers because people who know La Voce but didn't know you had La Voce, they'll come here. This could be our 11 o'clock. Okay. So the takeaway for today and our introduction to Google Maps is Maps is the second most powerful, important Google app that we have. Because knowing where you are and where you want to be, where you want to get to be, is extremely important. The better you know where you want to go or where you were, or where your customers are, or where your customers are not, the more information you have on that, the more time you can spend on good things, the less time you have to spend wasting your time. And maps are designed to help you control where you are going to be located in time and space. Most people in this room grew up in an era before we used maps, right? An electronic map. Okay. So our brain, our connectome is maps are cumbersome and they're hard, especially if you're a female.
I enjoy them.
Right? Okay, but in our brain, it's mostly maps are cumbersome and hard, especially if you're driving while looking at a map. And so AAA came out with what?
Triptych.
A triptych, right. And what's the triptych look like?
It's somewhat bound. You open it up, you can, for certain locations, smaller areas, you open up a larger map.
Yeah, so typically, or at least the
Divided
ones
into
out here, they're about 4 inches wide, so you can hold it in your hand, and you just flip the pages over, and it just has every, as you go, it's an interactive, the closest thing to interactive.
I've never seen it, believe it or not.
Okay. And so it used to be you go into a AAA office and say, I'm going on this trip, I need a triptych, and they'd say, where are you starting, where are you ending? And then they would draw, create this thing, print it out, bind it for you, say, there you go. Okay, completely obsolete, don't need it, it's not necessary. But so most people in here grew up in a world, our connectome is such that maps are good, but it takes a lot of time, it's hard, it's not really fast and efficient. Okay, we have to undo that part of our connectome and think in terms of smartphones.
Director, is there going to be a day when there will be no more paper maps, that are printed?
Yeah,
It's
of course.
coming.
Is that coming pretty soon?
Well, when the Earth burns up in a fiery mass, we won't need
Well, I
maps.
can see that happening, when the Earth blows up,
Okay, but before that, there will be, for a long, long, long time, places in the world where you just have to have a map. Okay, that you have to have a piece of paper.
We have to,
Yeah, that you can't do things, especially if it's over large areas.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so maps are crucial. What we have to do, people that are more than 35, what we need to do is we need to think differently about maps, about electronic maps, about Google Maps. We need to think in terms of these make life simpler and easier. I just have to learn how to use them. And once I know how to use it, then I have to use it all the time and have, try to have a map for everything I do. And when I'm in my car, when I have my smartphone, when I get directions, what I want to do is save that location that I just got directions for. I need to save it. Just like with when I get somebody's email address, I need to save their email address, add it to my contacts list. For maps, I need to save the whatever place I went to because I might need to go there again. And it's not a big deal if I save it and I never go there again. You know, it doesn't hurt. But if I didn't save it and I need to go there again, it's a, you know, kind of a hassle and a waste of time to try to get there. Okay, so does anybody have any questions? Otherwise, it's a break, and we're supposed to have a guest at 11.
Okay, do you know how on there it said if you click the asterisk, you can get the light, you can get the mufflers? Remember we talked about the mufflers, and then you can go from there if you need the muffler.
Okay.
You can get that information.